All right, so let's go ahead and talk about your earnest money deposit and what that means for you as a buyer. So, in its simplest form, the earnest money deposit is just you sending a good faith payment over to title and escrow on your behalf to show that the seller is that now you are serious about this. You have some skin in the game now. So, this is going to happen once we have a fully executed contract. That means you, as the buyer, we've sent over an offer with our terms on it. The seller has now signed and accepted those terms. We've opened escrow with the title company. And so now that money is going to go to them as a third party. And they're going to hold on to that money throughout the transaction to make sure that both sides are completing their section of the agreed upon terms. So let's go ahead and break that down a little bit. How much is the earnest money typically going to be? Well, typically it's 1% of the sales price. So if you're looking at a $500,000 home, I would say typically you're going to look to need to have about $5,000 for that earnest money deposit. Now, with that being said, it also plays off your down payment. So on that same purchase, if you planned on putting $25,000 down, what we're going to do is that we're going to take 5,000 of that 25,000 and go ahead and wire that over to title as our earnest money deposit. Now, with that being said, when it comes time to closing, we don't need to come up with a whole nother 25,000. We've already sent 5,000 over to title. So now you'll just need to come in with that remaining 20,000, and the two of those together will make up the $25,000 down payment on this purchase. All right, now let's get into refundable versus non-refundable aspects of your earnest money deposit. This is important because we want to make sure that we protect your earnest money, or commonly referred to as EMD, at all times. So typically what's going to happen if you want to have a refundable earnest money deposit is that we need to make sure that we do things in accordance with our contingencies. Our biggest contingency is going to be our due diligence period, and that is anywhere from 10 to 14 days. During that time, probably the biggest thing that's going to happen is we're going to have a home inspection done. Now, when that home inspection comes back, if there's just some things there that you can't get past and you decide at this point it's just not the right home from you, we're going to go ahead and exercise that contingency during the due diligence period, as long as we're within the days that we agreed upon in the terms, to go ahead and cancel the contract and ask for a refund on our earnest money deposit, and title will go ahead and send that back to us. Now, we also have some things like the appraisal contingency, loan contingency, things like that have been agreed upon in the terms of the contract. So here's where it gets a little sticky though, is that if you decide last minute, let's say you decide that this is just not going to work, this is not the house for you, but we've already gotten past our due diligence contingency, our appraisal, our loan contingencies, and we're out of contingencies, the seller is going to have the right to hold on to that earnest money, and it's going to go to them, and it's going to be non-refundable. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to make sure that we get everything done in the time periods allotted. So now moving to the next thing is that we know that this is a good faith payment. We can also use it as a strategic point to help our offer stand out a little bit more. Let's say you're in one of those bidding wars, kind of multiple offer situation. Everybody's coming in with a standard $5,000 earnest money deposit. If it's within your financial availability, we might want to add a couple extra thousand there, maybe even double it to $10,000. All this is going to do is put a little bit more of your down payment up ahead of things in the earnest money. But what it could show the seller is that you are very serious about this. You've actually even put a little bit more skin in the game compared to the other potential buyers, and the sellers could ultimately see that as a reason to select your offer. So hopefully that helps understand and work through the earnest money deposit. And like always, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. But thanks, and here's to making sure we get you that offer accepted.